No DQ Galaxy, we are live with a recap of Monday Night Raw for October 9th, 2023. This was coming off the 2023 Fastlane Premium Live event. Let's get right into it. Shout out to everybody watching, whether it's live or on demand. I have to be honest with you guys. I feel like I'm more excited for Tuesday night. For the first time in a while, Tuesday night seems to be the big night of the week for wrestling. We got NXT up against AEW Dynamite. We'll see what happens with that. I will be live here on the No DQ YouTube channel after both shows. I will do my best to watch both shows at the same time. The first 30 minutes of each show will be commercial free. It is going to be quite the evening. Wrestling fans will be well fed on Tuesday night. Anyways, let's get into this. We kicked off Raw with the world champion, Seth freaking Rollins. He talked about his victory over Shinsuke Nakamura in the Last Man Standing match. Said he still has a broken back, but being the world champion has been one of his career highlights. The crowd chanted, "Thank you, Rollins." He said he's just getting started. He is going to be a fighting champion. He will continue to be a fighting champion. And at this point, Drew McIntyre showed up. McIntyre came into the ring. Rollins said it doesn't matter if he's 100% or not. He will defend the title. McIntyre did confirm he wants a world title match, but he wants Rollins as close to 100% as possible and issued the challenge for Crown Jewel on November 4th. Rollins surveyed the fans and then accepted the match, and it was made official. Seth Rollins will defend the world title against Drew McIntyre at Crown Jewel. Good segment here, and I'm looking forward to this one. Damian Priest then attacked Rollins after McIntyre left the ring. McIntyre once again not really doing anything, but then Dominic came out with the Money in the Bank briefcase. At this point, McIntyre did something. He stopped Dominic. Meanwhile, in the ring, Rollins was able to fight off Damian Priest. The plot thickens here as we head into Crown Jewel. Like I said, good segment here. And we had a little Money in the Bank tease. More on that in a few moments as far as Judgment Day. We had our first match of the evening, which was a Viking Rules Match. Kofi Kingston versus Ivar. I was a little disappointed because we had no ship. In the previous Viking Rules match, they actually had part of a Viking ship at ringside attached to the ring. And I thought that was cool. They need to have that for every Viking Rules match. This was just lazy. This was a false count anywhere match with shields at ringside. And the shields were used a little bit. Kofi got thrown into them at one point. We had a weird moment before we came back from commercial. We had Wade Barrett and Michael Cole talking with French overdubs. And I was like, what is going on here? And it ended up just being a commercial for Paris, something going on, Olympics or whatever the hell it is. I'm not even sure. But yeah, that threw me off a little bit. After the commercial break, Kofi Kingston was able to fight off Ivar. He grabbed Ivar by the beard. Ivar was on the top rope trying to come off the top, but then Kofi grabbed his beard and threw him to the outside of the ring through a table. But then Valhalla showed up, she interfered, and Xavier Woods ran down to even the odds. However, Ivar was able to take down Xavier, and then Kofi Kingston got Ivar back in the ring. Ivar countered the tip, the Trouble in Paradise, and picked up the victory with a top rope moonsault. So Ivar gets the win here over a former WWE World Champion. Looks like they will continue to push Ivar despite his partner Eric being out of action indefinitely. Usually when one member of a tag team gets injured, the other guy ends up not doing anything. But in this case, WWE is continuing to push Ivar. So good for him. He's been entertaining. He's been doing well. We had a Shinsuke Nakamura backstage promo, and Ricochet showed up. Ricochet is still pissed off at Shinsuke Nakamura, and they got into a fight. We then had a backstage segment with Judgment Day. JD McDonough was there. Damian Priest was mad at McDonough. Balor was pissed. Rhea Ripley said that Judgment Day will be getting a rematch for the tag team titles on next week's Raw season premiere. And then Rhea Ripley said that JD McDonough needs to prove himself in a match against Drew McIntyre. We had Raquel versus Nia Jax. Raquel kept trying to pick up Nia Jax, tried to slam her, was unsuccessful, tried to lift her up on her shoulders, could not do it. Nia hit the bonsai, or the Samoan drop, went for the bonsai drop, aka the Annihilator. Raquel ended up grabbing Nia, who was in the corner, and power bombed her. At this point, Rhea Ripley ran down and attacked both of them, causing the match to be thrown out. Shayna Baszler then showed up, attacked Nia, and then Rhea Ripley got in Shayna's face, but then Shayna attacked Rhea and left her lane. And backstage, Shayna said whoever she's in the ring with, she is the baddest woman in WWE. Now, I'm wondering if we are going to get a fatal four-way out of this at Crown Jewel. At least that's what this seemed to be heading towards. We'll see, but it's a matter of who's the baddest woman in WWE, and you got these four. We had Seth Rollins confronting Drew McIntyre backstage, and McIntyre was just telling it like it was. He's being honest with people. He's not getting involved in business, but he said that when Dominic tried to come out there with the briefcase, that was McIntyre's business. And Rollins told McIntyre to not worry about it because Judgment Day could not take the title from him, and neither can McIntyre. We had an in-ring promo with Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, being interviewed by Michael Cole. Cody and Jey, the new tag team champions, but Michael Cole was being a bit of a dick. He brought up finishing the story. Is Cody just content with being a tag team champion? Does Cody fear taking another crack at the world title because he failed the first time? Cody tried to dodge the question and said he's happy to be a tag team champion, and Cole just kept on. And then Cole really became a dick when he said that Cody came real close, just like his dad. So Michael Cole bringing up Dusty. What a dick. Anyways, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens interrupted. For some reason, and I think it was an accident, they came out to Sami's old heel entrance music. Very weird. And it kind of sucked the life out of the crowd. I think people were like, what the hell? Anyways, the gist of this was that KO and Sami Zayn want their tag team titles back. And Owens wanted to know, would they have a match on Raw? Or was Jey Uso scared of losing the tag team titles twice? And Cody and Jey, of course, ended up accepting the match. And that was set up for the main event. D. Martin 5th sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, it's going to be quite the dynamic to see Jey Uso as tag team champion with a partner that isn't Jimmy. Well, that's what I like about it, that it's different. And they do have the chemistry together. They were very entertaining at the post-show press conference after Fastlane. And I'm looking forward to this tag team. I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing. I suspect Cody will, in fact, finish the story, and that's why they did this segment with Michael Cole. But it's a fun little thing for them to do between now and the end of the year. So I'm liking it. I think it was a good choice to pair them up, although I was a little surprised at the title change, considering Judgment Day just won the titles. But I guess the idea was that, hey, Cody and Jey, they got something here, so let's run with it for now. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, do you think Roman is happy about Jey being the champion? I could definitely see Roman Reigns saying something, and maybe we'll see what happens next week because Judgment Day gets their rematch, but I could also see Roman Reigns telling Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa they got to take those titles away, and we'll get a tag match, and that'll be before the WrestleMania buildup of Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. We'll see them going against each other for the tag team titles. I could definitely see that happening here in the near future. And maybe that was the reason for the title change, to continue the buildup. Even though they're on separate brands, this will continue the Jey and Jimmy story. We had Bronson Reed confronting Chad Gable backstage before their Intercontinental title #1 contenders triple threat match. And Reed warned Gable to not have his daughter watch. So they're still teasing that whole thing with Chad Gable trying to win for his daughter. And as Ricochet was heading to the ring, he was the third participant in this triple threat. He was attacked by Shinsuke Nakamura, who got into a fight with Ricochet earlier. And the interesting thing about this was Nakamura left Ricochet laid out with the GTS, the go to sleep. Now, I saw people on Twitter/X say that Nakamura has done this move before. He's used the GTS, which I don't really remember. Again, I don't pay that much attention, but interesting timing to do this after all the CM Punk rumors. You would think if WWE was not bringing in CM Punk and they're aware of the rumors online, you would think somebody, Triple H or somebody in a high position of power, would be like, okay, let's make sure we're not doing anything to make people think there's a chance CM Punk might show up. And, you know, all these rumors are starting. And now Nakamura on Raw is using the GTS. Again, I don't think it's a coincidence that he did it on this show right after a series of apparent references to CM Punk. And Corey Graves has been denying it, which is funny. Like, Corey Graves said he was quoting Dusty Rhodes and he was quoting The Usual Suspects. And first of all, like, The Usual Suspects, like, come on now. Who's even seen that movie? He acts like everybody's seen that movie. I'm not buying that. And the Dusty Rhodes line, like, people aren't going to remember that either. Like they're remembering the lines because CM Punk said them, and that's why people remember them. So that's a bit of a reach, Corey. I know he's trying to throw people off, but I mean, come on. I don't think any of this is a coincidence at this point. So anyways, let's talk about the triple threat match. Ricochet, Chad Gable, and Bronson Reed. Ricochet still competed, so the GTS was not enough to take him out of the match. They were double teaming Bronson, big Bronson, but Bronson outpowered them, even 2-on-1. He launched both of them outside of the ring, and then after the break, he gave both of them a Samoan drop at the same time. Ricochet started to make a comeback, and he sent Reed to the outside of the ring. Ricochet and Gable went at it for a while. And then Reed came back in, got German suplexed by Gable. Big pop for that. And then Ricochet took out Reed with a dive, got back in the ring. Gable applied the ankle lock. Ricochet managed to escape. And then Gable hit the Chaos Theory German suplex, but then Bronson Reed came back in and then pinned Ricochet with the tsunami off the top. So Bronson Reed gets the next crack at Gunther. That should be a really interesting match, and he's the only one of the three that hasn't faced Gunther yet, so I figured he was winning. Good match here, and I still don't think we're going to see Bronson Reed win the title, but should be a solid match on next week's show. We had Becky Lynch interviewed backstage, said her arm is still not 100%, but she has been cleared and she's a fighting champion. And Xia Li showed up and said she wants a match. Pretty much gave away the outcome of Becky's match with Tegan Nox, but I don't think anybody thought that Tegan was winning before this anyways. We had Drew McIntyre versus JD McDonough. Dominic Mysterio was out there providing a distraction, and that allowed JD to get in some offense, but it was basically a Drew McIntyre showcase. McIntyre did win with the Claymore, and then backstage, Rhea Ripley said she had a plan. She told Damian Priest she's got a plan to deal with all the stuff that's going on. We had a backstage interview with DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, and they said that this reunion was years in the making. Everything happens for a reason. It's finally their moment, but then they were attacked by Imperium. And speaking of Imperium, before the main event, we had a Ludwig Kaiser vignette, just him by himself. And they basically are teasing the idea that he's going to go off on his own. He's a living piece of art. I did find this very intriguing, and it seems to have a lot of potential, although it'll still be sad when Imperium breaks up. I still worried that those guys might get lost in the shuffle. We had Ricochet backstage looking for Shinsuke Nakamura, and Adam Pearce met up with Ricochet, had revealed to him that he had Nakamura removed from the building, and then Pearce made a match for next week, another Falls Count Anywhere match. We just had one at Fastlane. Next week, it will be Nakamura versus Ricochet, last man standing. Or Falls Count Anywhere, excuse me. Botch. It was a Falls Count Anywhere match that Pearce announced. They're all pretty much the same to me anyways at this point. You know, them brawling on the outside, and yeah, one's a 10 count, the other's not, but yeah. That takes place next week, and we had a Tegan Nox video package, and I thought this was well done, you know, gives the audience a reason to care about her. She talked about her various injuries and how she's kept fighting, and then before she went out for his match, Natalya showed up and gave her a little bit of a pep talk, motivated her, and that led to Becky Lynch versus Tegan Nox. Unfortunately, there still wasn't a lot of crowd heat for this. Like, Tegan Nox hasn't really been featured much, and they had a good match here. Crowd just wasn't very invested in it, and it was back and forth. It was very competitive, and Becky even rolled to the outside at one point to take a breather. Tegan kept going, kept the offense on Becky Lynch. Could not put her away, though. She got multiple close near falls on Becky, but Becky kept kicking out. And eventually, Becky was able to get the win with the disarm her. Pretty solid and maybe a good showing here. And building up Tegan's character a little bit will get the crowd to care about her in time. Walter Cruz sent in a $2 super chat, says, what a fall. Nakamura went from Seth Rollins to Ricochet. Well, I do think that Nakamura will win next week, and he will get some kind of momentum coming off of that. But yeah, I mean, his world title push is over now. Rollins is moving on, and Nakamura is going to be like a secondary heel on the Raw brand. It is what it is. I mean, I'm not sure where else he would go but down after going for the world title. We had Rhea Ripley interrupting a backstage segment where Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell were talking to Adam Pearce. This was just a way to get them on TV for a few seconds. And Rhea Ripley said she wants Shayna Baszler one-on-one next week. My gut feeling is we'll probably see some shenanigans that'll set up that four-way that I alluded to earlier. Backstage, Tegan Nox was very upset. She was sulking. Natalya was trying to cheer her up. And Katana Chance and Kaden Carter were praising Tegan for her performance. And then the bad girls, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, came in and made fun of Tegan, and Natalya stood up for Tegan, and we had a match set up for next week, Piper Niven versus Natalya. I suspect we'll get a tag team title match at some point, and you know, the tag titles are pretty much worthless at this point, but I suppose you could have Natalya and Tegan win the titles and try to build up Tegan a little bit. Either way, they gotta really do something to build up this women's tag division. Backstage, we had a little bit of a confrontation between Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso, and McIntyre said eventually Jey is going to show his true colors, and when that happens, McIntyre said he'll drop Jey's ass. And Jey said he's got a few minutes if McIntyre wanted to go, and McIntyre said make a move. But then Sami Zayn came in and stopped the fight from happening between these guys. We had our main event, Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso defending their newly won tag team titles against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Zayn did, in fact, come out to his babyface music, Worlds Collide or whatever it's called. So, yeah, it looks like that mishap earlier was, in fact, a production mistake with the heel music. Things got heated with these guys very early on, and they were brawling on the outside of the ring. The referee was trying to cut them some slack, was not counting them out, and eventually order was restored. Really good main event here with these guys. It almost felt like a pay-per-view quality match. Competitive, back and forth. We had a little bit of a super kick party with Owens and Jey Uso kicking each other, and both guys ended up down. Cody and Jey came in. Cody hit the Cody cutter, but Zayn kicked out, and then Zayn hit the Blue Thunder Bomb and got the 1-2-3 victory. No, I'm kidding. He did not. Of course, Cody kicked out of the Blue Thunder Bomb. Cody was able to counter the haluva kick with a crossroads, but Owens broke up the pin. And then Owens and Jey Uso tagged back in. Owens hit the stunner to Jey, but Cody broke up the pin. Things broke down with all four guys in the ring. But then Zayn was taken down with the crossroads. And then with the help from Jey, Cody was able to hit the Cody cutter, the Cody 1D, whatever you want to call it. And Cody pinned Owens to score the victory. Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes successful in their first title defense. And after the match was over, Sami Zayn got in the ring, shook hands with the champs, and then Kevin Owens came in, and after a little bit of tension, Kevin Owens did, in fact, show his respect to Jey Uso. So it looks like Owens and Jey finally on the same page to potentially have them on the same side for War Games, as we saw a little bit of a teaser on SmackDown of a potential War Games match. You got Owens and Zayn now on good terms with KO and Sami Zayn. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Jimmy's last shot with Roman is the tag belts. Well, I'm not sure what the direction is, but one would think that Jimmy Uso will get a match with Roman Reigns at some point. Maybe not, though. They might not even go in that direction. I feel like Roman will probably face LA Knight or AJ Styles at Crown Jewel and might face the other guy at Survivor Series. They could postpone Reigns versus Jimmy until the Royal Rumble. Like, there's lots of different ways this can go, and you would think that at some point we'll get Jimmy versus Roman. I was thinking we were going to see the Bloodline Fatal 4-Way, which we still might get. I mean, that could be a Royal Rumble match. Who knows? I mean, maybe they're just not going to go in that direction with Jimmy going after Roman. Maybe CM Punk shows up at Survivor Series. I mean, there's so many different twists and turns we could get between now and WrestleMania season. And I did notice that Cody took a pretty nasty bump. So hopefully he's okay from that. He seemed to be okay. He was standing after the match was over and did the handshakes and stuff. But yeah, kind of a scary moment there at the end with the 1D. So that was Raw, everyone. And I enjoyed the show. I think it was a good show. Not a top tier Raw, but pretty solid. You got the main event set up for Crown Jewel. And you teased some more dissension amongst the Judgment Day. Tag champs had a good match in the main event. So I give the show a B. Good Raw. I enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll see what happens on SmackDown with Roman Reigns coming back. And we got the big Tuesday night battle between NXT and Dynamite. I will be giving my thoughts on both shows. I'm going to somehow try to watch both. It will be a challenge, but I'm going to try to do it best I can. And I will be on afterwards to give my thoughts on the whole experience and what I liked, what I didn't like, so on and so forth. So tune in for that. That'll be probably a little bit later than usual because NXT tends to go over with the overrun. And I believe AEW will be having an overrun as well. Going to be a long night of wrestling, but I'm here for it. And at least it's just a one-off. Like, it's not a weekly thing. It was getting tough at the beginning of AEW when AEW and NXT were going head-to-head. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you for your viewership and support. If you liked the video, please give it a like on YouTube. And remember, say yes to NoDQ.com or say yeah to NoDQ. And I will see you all next time.